Recording in progress.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll get started. It's 10:44 and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Operations Oversight Committee. Chair Harris is not present today, so I'll chair the meeting. So I'll mention that procedure for teleconference meeting attendance under AB 2449, but we don't have any trustees attending via Zoom, right?
Mr. Oakham, but it is approved under the emergency that the Board of Retirement approved at the previous meeting.
Excellent. So,
And Terry will have a roll call as well.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. This meeting is being conducted virtually and in person, so I will do a roll call of the trustees to confirm attendance. Trustees Harris, Gray, and Rue will not be participating in today's meeting. Mr. Knox?
Good morning, I'm here.
Ms. Durazo?
Present.
Mr. Oakham?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Present.
Mr. Robbins?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Kehoe?
Present.
Vice Chair Sanchez?
Here.
Staff participating in the meeting include CEO Santos Kryman, Deputy CEO Luis Lugo, AEOs JJ Popovich and Laura Guglielmo, Chief Counsel Stephen Rice. Other staff and managers participating include Tatiana Bayer, Jonathan Tran, Maritza Perez, Louis Gittins, Kathy Delano, Alex Ochoa, and Kevin Hunter. Trustees, please use your raise the hand Zoom option to be placed in queue. At this time, we ask all meeting participants to mute your mics until you are ready to speak, and we may now proceed with the agenda.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to item 3, approval of the minutes.
Move approval.
Subsection A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 6, 2023.
I'll move approval.
There's a by trustee Knox, second by trustee Reed. Roll call.
Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
I abstain, I wasn't at that.
Abstain. Okay. Mr. Green?
Aye.
Vice Chair Sanchez?
Aye.
The motion passes with one abstention.
Great, thank you. We'll also ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 3rd, 2024.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
Vice Chair Sanchez?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Then item 4, I understand we don't have any requests for public comment.
We have no requests.
Okay. Then do I have to close that, or can I just move on to item 5? We'll close public comment, move on to item 5, reports, starting with LACERA operations briefing.
Yes, good morning, Vice Chair Sanchez. Good morning, committee members. At this time, we just stand for questions, and closed in your book packet is the detailed operations briefing. So certainly stand for any questions regarding different elements within the report.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the trustees?
Just one comment, if I could, Chair Sanchez. I think as it relates to the discussion earlier, again, not to go too deep on just the call center and the appointments and such, it seems like you could have a supervisor maybe just as that standby person, and if it is booked up the entire day and everybody shows, then maybe they pick up that extra appointment. But it would be nice to hear back at this committee some sort of options in the not too distant future, just to address that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee Knox. We'll definitely take that back.
Thank you.
Bring it back.
So we should add that for items for future agendas. Yep. Great. If there's no comments or questions, this is Trustee Green.
I know if it comes to Mr. Popovich's section or not. So it's regarding contact employees. We had discussed coming out of NCPER's additional methods. The flyers and everything, but we had talked about a push notification through. I just wanted to I don't know if it's to both of you, has there been any work towards that, like some type of, I didn't see it in any of the report, but we got the mail, phone call, email, and then, push notifications. Everybody's holding on to that darn phone, and
So, and I'll let Mr. Popovich add on, but we do have an RFP out for a member communications platform that will have some of those different features and functionality as it relates to engaging with members via IM, SMS, but maybe Mr. Popovich can elaborate a little further.
Thank you. Yeah.
Are you looking for while they're waiting on the phone? Is that what you're or waiting?
Well, I think just one of the things that came out in CPERS was they were that CalPERS and they were using the emails, but they weren't. I think we talked about it in a meeting sometime after first quarter last year, that they were able to achieve a greater percentage of contact for any purpose.
I see what you're talking about.
And because the email was, some people don't have email,
Mhm.
some people aren't getting the mail, some people don't necessarily capture it, and then it was just another avenue. And actually the cost, they were looking at it as a cost savings from sending out actual physical wet documents or whatnot. There was a significant savings with that. I don't necessarily. I think that all of them are viable actually, but I do like the SMS, push notification option, and it could be as the process starts, waiting in queue, or just a LACERA outreach, an opt-in option, and then boom, check your email for an update from LACERA regarding,
So we do emails for all of those that are registered for MyLACERA, which is I think about 56%. Kathy's here, about 56% of our membership right now. So we do email communications to them. We do SMS communications when we make new documents available to you, things like that. We don't have the ability yet to do SMS campaigns per se, but that is one of the things that the new experience platform communication platform would allow us to do.
with the RFP.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's actually, I love hearing
And
that.
then social media too. I don't want to discount that. We are looking at bringing on a social media aspect so that we can do outreach through social media as well.
Yeah, I think as, generationally as our
Mhm.
retirement base, our
Agree with you.
liabilities, are more well versed in it. I think, but yeah, the SMS is just instant, inexpensive.
Agree with you 100%.
Definitely.
That's great. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Do we confirm appointments with a text message,
We do send out an email confirming your appointment has been scheduled.
but not a text message?
I have to get back to you on that. I think it might do it, but I don't want to say it does before checking on that. Yes.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? No, okay, then we'll move on to the presentation, Standardized Retirement Counseling.
So as staff comes up here, I just want to say a couple of quick things. We always strive to make sure that members get the best retirement counseling possible. Come on up. And, we've used checklists and various other things in our toolbox to do that. But about a year ago, I asked our staff to, come on, Jonathan.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. To go through and completely look at it and come up with a standardized process that we would all follow through. And Jonathan Tran and Maritza Perez, they are the two folks that I assigned this task to, and they've done a wonderful job. So I'm going to let them go through what they've done. So we can bring up oh, it's there. Thank you.
We have it.
Beautiful. Just wondering.
Oh, you got it. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, you're both good
Okay.
now. You're on.
Okay.
You're live.
Thank you. Good morning, Vice Chair and board members. Again, my name is Maritza Perez. I'm a retirement counselor here with LACERA, and with me today is my colleague Jonathan Tran. We both work in the Member Service Center with LACERA. And what we want to present to you today is the work that we've been doing for the last year and creating the omni-channel retirement counseling model to you guys. So let's go ahead and begin with the presentation. Thank you. So when we were working with this model, the purpose of it was to essentially tie in all of our communication channels into one single form to be able to provide that information to our members. We had one goal in mind when creating this omni-channel retirement counseling model, which was to standardize LACERA's retirement counseling services to ensure that members receive the same information no matter what channel of communication they choose to interact with us. With LACERA's vision in mind, we're hoping that this approach empowers our members to continue enjoying a healthy and secure retirement by providing them and receiving different new ways of retirement counseling services, while still maintaining our traditional preferred methods for many of our members. Our members interact with us in different ways. They learn in different ways. This omni-channel approach has formed different avenues for all members who want to contact LACERA for retirement counseling services and keeping their preferences in mind. Next slide. So about a year ago, Jonathan and I were a part of a focus group of 9 other specialists here at LACERA, ranging from our youngest specialist, starting with early career in our call center, to our most veteran specialist that's been with us for 20 plus years. And we all got together to decide, okay, how is it that we normally speak to our members? What information do we provide them? What are their preferences in terms of receiving retirement counseling? And what are the tools that we already have, and how can we implement them into our new retirement counseling model? And a lot of those tools were online services that we weren't advertising in the past. So with that, we originally came up with 2 models, the online guided and the verbal counseling. We beta tested that, brought it to the floor, gathered member feedback, user end feedback, and then discovered that there was a third way that we can provide counseling to our members, which for those members who wanted more expedited counseling and maybe didn't have the traditional 45 minutes to 1 hour to spend with us on the phone or in person. So we created another or identified another counseling model to provide to them. With that, after we've had our 3 models, we began reviewing the content that we were explaining to our members during our counseling sessions, integrating more information, a lot of preventive and preemptive information that we perhaps weren't putting in the forefront to them, that we're now including in the new standardized model, as well as reviewing not only the information, but also the checklist and standardized models that we already had in place to ensure that our specialists were providing the same information across all boards. There was a lot of collaboration throughout all of LACERA in developing this entire model. We sat down with SMEs in our benefits division, SMEs with reciprocal disability, SMEs throughout all the organization at LACERA, quality assurance department, to ensure that everybody had a say in creating this model as well. We actually began and rolled out the model in January of 2024. It's been a month out that it's been used on the floor, and it's been very well received by our members and our specialists. Currently, to support our specialists as they're transitioning into this new way of counseling, we have in-house live support via chat messages, where specialists can interact with each other to give each other tidbits and get feedback of how the model is working out on the floor. And then we have also new easy access operations instructions and visual updates for internal use as well. Next slide. Now, the counseling models were obviously created with one thing in mind, the member. This is a very member-centric approach in retirement counseling. Our old counseling was very individualized to the member, but a lot of the information that they received was from feedback data that we fed to them through our internal database workspace. So they didn't have a lot of visuals to kind of follow along with the information we were providing them. There wasn't a uniform method that was used throughout all of our communication methods, including written information, verbal information, and online information. And our members had limited access, or at least little information on how they can access information offline with us. The omni-channel retirement counseling model, again, its approach is to provide the same information to members no matter what communication method they use to contact us. Our specialists are encouraging our members to now use the retirement planning hub that's located on LACERA.com as a reference tool and an additional resource to their retirement education. And the retirement planning hub is a centralized data resource for members to learn anything about the steps to retire, what do they need to do when they're ready to retire, and any information about their individual plan. But it doesn't take away from having that one-on-one assistance with our specialist. So it's not meant to isolate the member and provide solely self-service tools, but to provide as an additional resource to the guided retirement counseling that the specialists, the experts give them. And of course, we do meet with our members in real time. We still have members who want to talk to us over the phone, who want to see us in person. So we are still continuing our traditional counseling methods via the call center and also at the member service center. Next slide. Perfect. And then the next slide where we're going to look at is just a quick little, next slide. And press play on the video. Just a quick snapshot of what the Retirement Planning Hub essentially looks like on LACERA.com. So everything is centralized in the Active Members tab, and from there, members can navigate to different parts of the Retirement Planning Hub. If they're looking for information about how to prepare for retirement, we have a whole section for that that guides them through every single member journey from early career to ready to retirement. For those who are more visual learners, we've mapped out a visual piece for them to understand what the steps towards retirement are at any stage of their careers. For members that are already ready to retire, right? These are members 6 to 3 months for ready for final retirement. We have a whole section where they can see all the outlines of the documents that are required to submit for retirement, a retirement to-do list to help them follow along on what documents they need to still prepare for. That retirement to-do list is provided not only online, but also by all of our specialists inside the Member Service Center. We've provided them easy access to our workshops and also online videos for them to learn about the retirement options. One of the most difficult decisions for our members is deciding which retirement option am I going to choose, how much money am I going to leave my beneficiary? And we do spend a lot of time discussing that during our retirement counseling session. So we're hoping that now that we have these videos, that it could help members sink in that information in helping them come to the decision of what option they'll eventually take. The Retirement Planning Hub also has siloed topics for members that are in active service, and if a member particularly wants to look at their individual retirement plan parameters, we have the plan booklets available there. We also have a section for retirees and families, for those that are in transition and receiving retirement payments, and then those for seeking information specifically about retiree healthcare. There is a section only about retiree healthcare. And that is essentially our brand new Retirement Planning Hub. Next slide. Gotta go to the next slide. Thank you. So in this next section, if we look at the next slide, we've dedicated to self-service tools. So as JJ mentioned, 56% of our members are currently signed up for, we have their email address on file. So one of the initiatives that we started with this new counseling model is an initiative to have more members register to our MyLACERA portal so that they have at-home access to their own retirement accounts. So every specialist is now trained to ask for a portal registration every time they have a contact with the member. Next slide. The MyLACERA portal, in which Alex will talk to us in our next presentation, has been revamped as well. There is now information. The top questions that member asks us is now centralized on the front page. We have information here about their general plan, who their beneficiaries are. If they want to purchase service credit, it's very easy for them to access information about purchasing service credit, as well as filing for a service retirement and disability retirement as well. This is a brand new tool that we've launched last January. Members are now going to be able to apply for retirement through the online portal. If we click to the next slide. Got to click for a couple times. And that's just displaying the different aspects of the centralization of the self-service tool. If we click on it one more time, and one more time, we'll go to the next slide. Perfect. So this isn't a new feature. Estimates have always been available through the MyLACERA portal, but we are now pushing our specialists to provide tutorials to our members on how to run estimates on their own, right? Again, we're not trying to take away the veil of having a specialist, but in between their sessions, if they're curious about their numbers, we're teaching them how to run an estimate themselves, and it helps them become a little bit more well-rounded and informed, and our calls and our appointments can become a little bit more productive with our members. I always kind of joke about it as like if you're mad at your boss one day and you want to find out if you can retire, here's a way that you can check one day and get a reality check, right? So that's one way we kind of pointed to them. Next slide. One more time. So the next slide, if we go over, is about streamlining our filing for retirement. So we've had different ways that members can file for retirement. They could write us a letter, they could, come into the member service, but we wanted to streamline and just simplify it for our members. So now there's a paper application and the online application. The paper application is available online for any member to download, but it's also available for any specialist to provide to our members. And we're all using the same application across all avenues so that members can see the same thing wherever they contact us. And then, of course, there's the online application as well. And then the next slide. And I'm going to pass this over to my colleague, Jonathan.
Thank you, Maritza. So as you can see, the members have at their disposal many different tools. But when looking at the standardization, we have to look at the interaction models. Can I get the next slide, please? Finding the information to communicate in a session wasn't an easy feat. You have a lot of the different things that could be covered. So what our team of specialists have done is we got the big topics, the major topics that we would engage in counseling, and then all the smaller topics that come alongside that to create some sort of standardized model. This is what members need to know. Next slide, please. And here's where we have the interaction. In line with the strategic plan, we wanted to create an omni-channel approach to our member services customer service. One of the first things at interaction is we want to gauge a member's aversion to technology, because in order to meet members where they are, we have to know where they sit with these innovative tools. This could begin as easy as, do you have a computer or a smartphone currently in front of you? They could say no, they could say yes, they could say yes, but I don't really feel comfortable with that. If they are adverse to the technological resources, we can go with our traditional verbal counseling and they can receive the services as they wish. If they do say yes and they're open to that, and we have a growing demographic who would be interested in that, we have a newer model called the online guided counseling. This is where specialist and member will navigate together the landing pages on our LACERA.com website. What this does is it enhances the counseling by offering a visual resource for our members. On top of that, after the interaction has concluded, the member has in their hand the retirement education that they could revisit far after the interaction has concluded. As you may know, it's not easy to retain everything that is said right then and there. Next slide, please. So this is an example of how that online guided counseling will look since it's the newer model. Oftentimes when counseling a member, we will observe, do you have missing service credit? So we run a service credit report and say, you either don't miss any service credit, or you have all your service credit, or you are missing service credit. And our members often say one or two things to us. They say, I know. Or they'll say, well, how can I be missing service credit? I've been working this whole time. This is an opportunity for us to bring them to the proper landing pages. We have a landing page for service credit where we could explain how the service credit is earned, how this affects their benefit, etc. And so that they could fully understand what they do affects their benefit and how so. And then, well, the next question after, oh, I'm missing service credit, does that mean I need to wait longer to retire? No, that's not the case, because there's the option of purchasing service credit. And here we have a separate landing page for purchasing service credit. It outlines the different type of service credit, county, non-county, and your different provisions to purchase it under the Searle or Pepper law. Next slide, please. Just as Maritza was saying earlier, we originally started with two different models, the online guided and the verbal counseling. But after running it on the floor a little bit, we gave rise to a third sort of model, one where members don't really have the time to fully engage us in that full counseling. That's a lot of information to share in one point. They might call us like, hey, LACERA, I'm on my break right now. I have 5 minutes, but I don't want anyone to know about what I'm doing. Can I get the retirement information? I was like, do you have an hour? Do you have 45 minutes? Like, we had to find a way in which we could get them what they need in and out, and that they would know what they still need after the interaction. And here we have the abridged counseling model that targets the what, the when, and the how. And when we target the what, when, and how, it's not to replace the full counseling session that could happen. It's actually an invitation for future counseling. There's a disclosure that comes alongside this model that manages the expectations of that member. So in the what, when, and how, it's often simple for our members. They come in, they say, well, how much money am I going to get? That's the what. Well, can you help me run an estimate in the system? The when, well, that sounds like a good amount of money. When could I get this money? And then finally the how. Okay, you sold me. I know when I'm going to go. I'm going to know what I'm going to get. How do I retire? And then we point to the resources. On the specialist side, next slide, it's a little more complicated. We have to make sure all necessary certificates that correspond to the retirement option is present, otherwise the first payment cannot go out. Another thing, we need to know about any dissolutions due to the community property laws. And when we give those estimates, we're often giving it based off the unmodified option, which is the raw calculation. We let our members know there are other options, but at this time, due to your time constraints, we could communicate the raw calculation. The when, we would communicate birthday quarters considerations, whole year's considerations, end of the month, and the RDO first day off strategy. And finally, the how. You have your different resources. You have your paper application, online application, our ready to retire page centralizes the necessary forms in which you will retire, and you can use that as like a homework sheet. The follow-up email goes alongside after the interaction. And there's also an invitation for virtual workshops that would connect the member to LACERA further. Next slide. So due to the nature of what we do, there are as many different types of members as there are counseling styles. These models are not siloed in and of themselves, but they are fluid. You can start in one scenario and begin in another. So for example, in a bridge counseling, they call in, oh, I only have 2 minutes. I'm just running out. I want to hear about what I'm going to get. Then they get curious. One more question, comes another question, comes another question. And before you know it, it's an hour later and they've gone through a full counseling. In this, our specialists are instructed to document the interaction to go from abridged to verbal counseling. So we can keep track of the type of interactions our members have and what information they have received and what information they still need to receive based on the model. Next slide. And finally, the follow-up email. After the interaction has concluded, the learning does not stop. We send this follow-up email that goes to every member after the interaction, and it serves as a frequently asked questions page where the major topics of the counseling are hyperlinked for them. They could visit the website and at their leisure and convenience, read about the information, and the next time we have an interaction with them, it is a well-informed question. It is a productive session. It maximizes the quality of every interaction that passes through LACERA. Next slide. And finally, I'm going to have Maritza take over and talk about some of the updates to the checklist.
So our specialists on the floor use retirement checklists to essentially keep track of the information that they're providing to members. It has been the traditional way we've standardized things in the past, but when we created the omni-channel approach, we noticed there were some additions that needed to be made. So we've included things in these standardized checklists where it obviously obligates specialists to speak about the MyLACERA registration, include the retirement planning hub in their day-to-day speak with their members, provide additional directives to them regarding required documents so that every member is ensured of whatever required documents are provided to prevent first payment delays. New disclosures regarding disability retirement option change laws that became effective on January the 1st of 2023, and also disclosures regarding reciprocal disability. This is applicable for as more of a preventative measure and preemptive measure for a lot of our members who may be affected by a reciprocal disability in the future. Instead of kind of counseling members as these issues arrive, our approach now is to be preemptive and let them know these things may affect you in the future, even though you're not considering it right now. So it's taking a different approach for those highly sensitive cases that we're all familiar with reciprocal disability. We've revamped as well an entire checklist for our members that are returning to work post-retirement, and including that in our day-to-day speak for members so that they are aware that that is an option, but there are provisions to that. And then created an abridged counseling checklist so that our specialists can also keep track of the what, when, and how when they're counseling for that short version. Last year, we did launch an entire training regarding the PEPRA FAC calculation. So there's new standardized ways of counseling our members that are affected by the PEPRA laws. And the next slide, please. And one more slide. There we go. Thank you. So this last slide pertains to our member experience, right? It's all about our members. We want to make sure that they are happy and enjoying the experience that we provide them here at LACERA. And from feedback that we've garnered with the last year, and especially this last month that the counseling models have gone live on the floor, we've come to the conclusion that the online guided counseling has been very, very effective at the Member Service Center and at the Virtual Member Service Center. We're already in front of them, in front of their computers. We have the technology accessible to give them the full online guided counseling in that methodology, and they're really enjoying having the visuals and the reference tools to take home to their continued education. Over the phone, we've noticed that specialists have had better experiences implementing the online guided with members that are a little bit younger, are a little more technologically embracing members, right? So usually, that's something that we were used more in person. The abridged counseling has been very effective through the call center. We always receive those quick calls from our members who don't have a lot of time to spend with us, and it's been very successful in inviting our members and setting expectations for their retirement planning, as well as the retirement counseling summary email that's also been well received by both members and our specialists. Our specialists are informing us that they like having a reference tool to provide our members, and that members are coming back and saying that they are using it to continue their education. And that concludes our presentation. Any questions?
Great. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation and the information. A couple of random things. I appreciate what you said about the comfort level and aversion to technology. I think I would remove and suggest you remove aversion from your materials, just because that to me kind of cements this notion that people aren't going to do it. I think it's just more about gauging their comfort level and encouraging them to engage. I think is just a little more positive spin. The unmodified plus, are those, that has to be the least intuitive naming and convention ever, unmodified plus, and people ask me and I just explain it. Oh, unmodified plus is like the haircut model where you take a haircut so somebody else can get the same thing you're going to have. Are those names like etched in, biblical tablets? Can we never change those to something that actually makes sense for people to just review and say, oh, that makes sense to me?
I mean, we lovingly call those downstairs the unmodified I love you option and the unmodified plus I love you more. We can change it to that.
But what's the serious answer to that? Can we change those at some point?
I think they're wedded to the law. That's where we got it from. Doesn't mean we can't rebrand them somehow. So we'll talk with the legal office and see what the chances are of doing that.
Yeah, maybe the name stays the same, but in parentheses underneath it says something different. The I love you more option.
I actually like that. I love that. I chuckle every time I hear it.
And then my last point. So the abridged is not something scheduled. That's just how you're kind of defining somebody that calls in for something quick, but it can take longer. Okay. Yeah, and I suppose that's not much different than my day job with the people that call in about their property taxes, where it starts with something simple and pretty soon they're on the phone for 10 to 15 minutes.
So if I can, it's not necessarily something, it's how we present it. It's making sure that we have procedures depending on what the member wants us to do, right? So we do, as Rich and Johnson said, we'll say, do you have time? Because the full counseling session is going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. And if they don't, that's fine. Then we internally know, okay, we're going to go down this route with the member because there are certain specific things, no matter how much time I have with you, I really need to try and get through to you, right? And then let you know, hey, we need you, there's more here. And then the more here is really the wonderful addition of adding the email, sending it to the member saying, here's the entire section. If there's anything that you heard from us, but we didn't get to go over with you because you didn't have the time, you can go read it. If we went over the full counseling session, but you still have questions, you can go read it and refresh your memory. It just ties it all together and gives them a greater resource. So it's not something, where somebody's going, oh, okay, then I'm going to give you the abridged version. It's really for us to know internally, which checklist, which way are we going to go to make sure that we get the most important information to you based on the time that you have to give us. Think about sum it up correctly.
Yeah, it's mainly a resource for our specialists to recognize the situation and attach terminology to it. But from the member's perspective, they shouldn't be feeling like, oh, I just got an abridged like Walmart version of the counseling. It should be an organic interaction where we are serving them the best we can based on the constraints.
But are you still, I appreciate that, and that makes sense. Are you still encouraging them to set up a full-blown assessment rather than the person perceiving by the end of the call that they just had that full thing because they dragged it out for 45 minutes?
Yeah, well, every time that we begin an abridged counseling, or if a member tells us that they have a short amount of time, there is a disclosure that the specialist has to read, which lets them know that this is just a short form version of it and invites them to come to full counseling in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. That was great.
And as you can see, the one slide they showed where it goes this way, that way, and this way, we change it on the fly. So, if you start in the one and you want to spend more time, that's fine with us. We'll spend the more time with you. It doesn't, there isn't a time limit that's placed on that, regardless of how you contact us, whether you do that via the phone or you're sitting with us downstairs in the member service center or virtually.
Yes.
As far as the leading up, this has gone live January 16th, correct?
Mhm.
It's really nice. As far as inputting data, say I'm 3 years out or 4 years out, and I want to start building my LACERA, with the input of beneficiaries and stuff like that. Can I start? I don't need to initiate a claim of retirement or an application for retirement. I can start building up to a certain point before I was trying to see if I saw that the one tile would.
Well, everything that's you see in MyLACERA, and you're going to get a better picture of what the new MyLACERA looks like in a moment in the next presentation. But everything is there for active members and for retired members for them to look at, learn about, and enter. We encourage active members to give us a beneficiary as soon as you're joined the plan. You want to have a beneficiary on file while you're active. God forbid something should happen to you. There may be benefits that your active beneficiaries will get. If you don't have a beneficiary, it may limit your options. So there's that encouragement. And there's an encouragement all throughout all of our interactions, no matter what time or what part of your journey you're going through, where we're encouraging you to, make sure we have your marriage certificate on file, make sure we've got beneficiaries on file, make sure that everything's up to date as much as possible, and to get them registered for MyLACERA. It's not just here that we do the push for MyLACERA. It's just here it's another one of those avenues where we're hitting it. We're making sure we're hitting it to get you connected so that we can stay
Education on the
connected.
employee, yeah. I like your guys' pivoting. That's really good. I think it's a key point, though. You don't want an employee to come away disenfranchised thinking they got the short end of the stick. But if that's what they need at the moment, and I like the training to pivot in the. I have had some feedback with one of the concerns I have. I know everyone is really pursuing trying to fill the ranks and whatnot, but. And I've been telling people it's crunch season, and that's why some appointment dates are, if you were thinking about going in March, he should have gone out in, you should have asked for an appointment in December or something, set something up. But there's months that some folks and I've tried to communicate to members that have talked to me about hey, if you're looking for an appointment now and they're telling you you're not going to see it till the end of April, I mean, that's, is, so my concern is that, and I think you guys have addressed it, but if staff is inundated with these small, short interactions, is that taking away from, the long, lengthy, thorough, the full Monty, as they say.
Well, one of the things that we'll do, if you call into the call center and you want the full interaction, you'll get the full interaction.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we standardize it. I've been working on getting us to this point for 18 years, in increments based on technology and what we can do and the resources that we have to get to the point where we're giving you true omni-channel retirement counseling. So if you have time and schedule the appointment, great. If you call us and you want to do that over the phone, we'll do it over the phone. You know, whatever avenue, and that's one of the reasons why we've termed it the omni-channel retirement counseling process. It's really designed to meet members the way that they want to be served when they want to be served.
So it's actually a tool that's going to fit more with with what you have available as far as staff. I'm concerned about staff.
But it is staffing, and it is what the members want, right? So if a member calls me and says, I'm thinking about retiring, and they've got the time, we will spend that time with them, because that's the way that they want to interact with us.
Gotcha.
Right? And then what we have to do on the back end, and we continually do all the time, is we have to continue to look at the workforce balance. So we have all these processes in place where we're continuing to look at what do we need, and as we move forward, as we get more technology and as we get better at forecasting, we may wind up coming back to trustees saying, I'd like to expand the number of people in the call center, right? Because, we've got this wait time, and the wait time is attributed to this. But the important part is meeting the members how they want it, right? I don't want the members to feel constrained that they have to come down here. I don't want the members to feel constrained that, they have to do just a video interaction with us. It's what you want, and we'll make sure that we give you what you need to feel that you're comfortable retiring in the manner that you want it. And that's the whole point of the omni-channel, and that's the whole point of a member experience program, is to make sure the experience is consistent and meets you where you need to be.
I'm excited to check it out.
And that's fine. We'll take you any which way you want to come.
So if somebody calls today and it's not scheduled, they would get the full.
Yeah, we do have calls that go an hour long, to go through that with you.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
If we may, before we go to the next one, I did want to confirm that there is an SMS text message that goes out after you confirm, to confirming an appointment. And I believe we also send an email or text message before the appointment too, to remind you, if I remember correctly. So, but we did confirm about the SMS. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Through your presentation, what I also think about, we have a great opportunity to strengthen or supplement once we do have a social media presence. I think that might be the fourth model, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Great. Thank you. Anything else? Fantastic. Then
I just want to thank my staff.
Thank you for the
both Maritza
presentation.
and Jonathan, and the team that was behind them. This was a cross-functional across many different units and member services in the divisions and benefits and disability retirement service and retiree healthcare. And they spent over a year putting this together and getting it all documented down. And I appreciate you guys. So thank you very much.
And it shows. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. So then we have updates to MyLACERA. Just to keep in mind, how much time do we have allocated for this presentation? 20 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. I see it.
Alrighty. Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Kevin. My colleague Alex and I will be talking to you about the updates that have been done to the MyLACERA member portal. And to start us off, I'd like to talk about the redesign that was done to the members homepage. Next slide, please.
That's a cool picture.
There should be a different slide, but that's okay. In this, on this particular screen, we have our redesigned page, and this is from the perspective of a retired member. So if we were to log in as a retiree, this is what you'd see. And to kind of break it down, the top card is the allowance card, organized up there because it's one of the most important things, right? How much am I getting, right? What's my payment? Below that, we have some links there to view payment history. and as well to request a pension verification letter. Underneath that, we have a new card called Retiree Healthcare, and this particular card will give us or will display the member's medical and or dental vision plan name for easy reference. If the member has a Medicare Part B reimbursement total amount that they receive, then that item will be placed there as well. And something to note for this particular card is that everything is conditionally displayed. So if there's something that doesn't apply, like the reimbursement total, or maybe they opted not to have a dental vision plan, those will not show up on there. At the bottom of the card, there's a View Coverage Details link, and we'll touch on that in just a moment. But right after I point out the very bottom card, the Primary Beneficiaries card. Right there, you can see, oh, can you go back, please? Thank you. Right there, you can see it's easy and clear for our members to see that what their beneficiary is, who their beneficiary is, and if they need to manage it, they have a link that they can easily click to get there. So if we were to click the View Coverage Details link, we'd be sent to a new page. Next slide, please. We'd be sent to this new medical and dental vision insurance coverage details page. Now, this page is the first step in a greater effort to bring retiree healthcare information to the member via the member portal. And so to break it down here, the page is structured into two different parts. The left-hand side is the coverage information. The right-hand side are the people being covered. On the right-hand side, you'll see the member's name, and some additional information that pertains to that member, like Part A effective date, Part B effective dates, things like that. Listed underneath are any eligible dependents. So anyone that gets any sort of coverage from the member's subscription coverage plan will be listed underneath there. And it'll also identify if they have medical coverage, let's say medical covered, dental vision covered. Heading over to the left side, we have the medical section on top, and the top is the plan name, similar to what you would see on the front page, or the home page, I should say. But right underneath, we have additional information that supplements the plan name, giving a little bit more detail. Specifically for Kaiser subscriptions, they have and use additional different terms, and so we've provided those term definitions there for our members to reference. That particular section only appears for members who subscribe to Kaiser plans. Underneath that, you have our effective coverage date of the plan. Underneath that, we have the monthly premium of the plan, and at the bottom there, you have our members portion, if any. Below the medical section, you have our dental vision section. Much like the medical section, you have the plan name, any additional details, and then the coverage date, premium, and member portion. And at the very bottom, we list out, or we display the Medicare Part B reimbursement amount if it's applicable. Just like the front card, this particular page is conditionally displayed. So anything that does not pertain to that member, it won't be displayed. If they don't have any dependents, that section won't be displayed. If they opted not to not have a medical plan, that whole section will not be displayed. And that way we keep things clean and easy for the member to read. Next slide, please. On this particular page, going back to the front page here, up on the top right-hand corner is a new card called the Rehired Retiree Card. And this is a new card that is displayed to a subset of members, specifically those that participate in the 120-day temporary assignment. So this is a tool for our members to use to self-monitor the accrual of their hours over that current fiscal year. And you can see that we list the hours accrued as of that particular accrual date at the bottom for the listed fiscal year there. And something neat about this is that as the hours accumulate, the card itself starts to change into different colors. Turns to yellow, then turns to red to really get the attention of the member to be aware of their, approaching the 960 hours limit there. And then when we get really close, we start displaying a warning at the very top of the screen so that they can't ignore it, right? And we hope that that would be a great benefit for them to be able to do self-service. Next slide, please. And then on this page here, we have, again, looking at an active members homepage, we have on the right-hand side the pending cases card. And here, if a member has a current disability case, it'll be displayed there, and they'll be able to log in and reference it and take a look at any details that they have there. And with that, I'll pass it on to Alex.
Yes, thank you. So it was discussed earlier about omni-channel retirements, and this is just another avenue for members to be able to communicate with us that they are ready to retire. So now we've put together a apply for retirement card here, which will be displayed on our active members who have a portal, and they will only be displayed if you are already met the requirements under your active plan to retire. You'll be able to see this card here. Next slide, please. Once a member clicks on apply for retirement, we do let them know we're going to be needing some more information. This is a retirement application. Make sure you know what you're doing. And we still give them opportunity to still go back and calculate an estimate if that's what they're really looking for, and that's where they should go. This is only for a service retirement. If they were like a disability retirement, we also have a link on this page that can take them to the disability retirement application, which is also available online. If a member chooses to still proceed, they'll go ahead and click Let's Begin. Next slide, please. Once a member hits that Let's Begin, we want to verify some information. So now is the chance for our members to verify the information we have on file, including their date of birth, service credit, contact information. We do give them the opportunity to change contact information if they see something that is not correct. There's a link right on this page that'll direct them to their profile, where they can correct any phone numbers or addresses that may need to be changed. Next slide, please. And as the application is continually walking through the member, now it's time to talk about our beneficiaries. So we list which beneficiaries are currently on file with us. We give them the opportunity to visit our beneficiary change form if they needed to change it. And again, everything is done online. If a spouse is listed, whether it's a wife or domestic partner, we ask them to verify that they are still currently married. Sometimes our members go through a divorce and they leave spouses on their beneficiary. This is their opportunity to correct that if that is the case. So we ask them, is this still your current spouse or domestic partner? And they verify that. Once they verify it, then the highlighted next button will show up, and we'll move to the next screen, please. And now we ask them, all right, when do you want to retire? Now we do have a 90-day window here. So a member can only put in a date within the 90 days. If they choose a date past that 90 days, it will show as an error. So we hard lock it so that they know that it's only applicable for 90 days. If they're looking at a same-day retirement, it does have to be submitted to us by 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But we do accept same-day retirements through the application as well. Next slide, please. And here now is the options. So this is designed for a member that's already been counseled, but there are members that like the self-service, and here's an opportunity to learn about the different retirement options. So if they are not sure about the unmodified option or the unmodified plus option, Here, they can go through the videos. These are the same videos that are on LACERA.com. We talk about what this option is for, what it will pay their beneficiaries, and we remind them what certificates are required if they are choosing this option. The options that are available will be dependent on the plan that the member is retiring from and which beneficiaries they choose. So if they have a spouse on record, then they'll be able to choose the unmodified. But if they don't have a spouse, maybe they only have children, then that one will not be available for them to elect. However, they can elect some of the other options instead. Next slide, please. Once the member has determined their date and option, now it's just simply signing the application. They get to review their selection. We accept electronic signatures since these are coming in through our portal. They can sign it either freehand or they can type in their name, and then they would just click submit to send that application over to us. So let's see what happens when they do that. Next slide, please. Once they've hit submit, now they get a confirmation page. So this is a page that tells them, all right, your application has been received. These are the certificates that we're going to require. We offer them the next steps. They can go in and start collecting information about the direct deposit, tax election, healthcare forms. All those are listed down at the bottom. They can also print this page for their records as well. And on top of all of this, we communicate many, many different ways to the member. Next slide, please. Once they've submitted that application, they're going to receive an email to let them know that they have retired. That'll go to their email address. That email will have a link to a rescission form if that's something that they want to consider. Maybe they change their mind in the future. Before their retirement date, they have the rescission form in their email. Their homepage on their MyLACERA will now change. That card that had apply for retirement now will say that the application has been received. In their documents, they'll be able to view their actual retirement application. This is the application that is sent into their account, and our staff will process their retirement using this application. Next slide, please. And since launch, we launched this back on January 16th. From the launch date, for the first week that this was out, we already received 31% of our retirement elections were used through this online application. So we see that the members are using it. There's a need, not a need for it, but there's people want to do it this way. Our more traditional way is the 45%, and this is the paper application that members will upload through their account. And the 24% represents the members that still like to come in or fax or mail their retirement application, and those are not going away. This is just an added to a third option that a member has to retire. Next slide, please. So what we did is we went ahead and called the first 10 to 20 members that did this portal application to kind of get their feedback. And the biggest feedback that we got was, this was really easy. Like, I can't believe it was this easy. So members are really enjoying it. They like that it's structured so it paces them through the application. And they're just really glad that there's not a form that they have to fill out. They can just do it online. And for that, any questions or comments?
Any questions? So if a member files online, they're still going to speak to someone through the process, no? Or they can potentially do everything online?
They could potentially do everything online.
Wow.
But we welcome any communication they want to give to it through us. But yes, everything can be done online.
And so this is also part of that omni-channel experience that we were talking about. Even when we're counseling them, we're encouraging them to go ahead and go here to submit their election if they have access to a computer, rather than, fill out a paper form and have to upload it, or worse yet, us sending them a form which may take longer to do that. So, and you'll notice too, all the way throughout this, there's little things you should know in each one of those slides, so that if you're going through it and you have questions while you're going through it, you can click on it and learn about those things as well. And it's not to necessarily set up a go it on your own process. There are people that like to do that. And that's part of delivering the service the way they want it. But it is incorporated in the counseling session. They use it downstairs in the member service center. Even considering, having people be able to log into MyLACERA while they're sitting in the counseling session rather than having them fill out a paper form. So it's just it's a process.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I do have a question. You probably know what the question is. How does the system handle splits? So if an individual wants to use this to calculate, their retirement benefit, they submit an
Option 4?
application.
Is that what you're talking about, the dissolutions?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I know that the system, for example, doesn't calculate the splits in whatever the benefit amount is. And then does the system stop it and say, does it get redirected to staff and say, we have to follow up with this particular member because there's something on file that prevents them from, moving forward with the application? Or that the benefit is different?
Right, so when there's a legal split on record and the member is applying through the online application to retire, there is a warning to tell them, hey, you should call us. Call us before you do this. It will still let them proceed and go through the application, and once staff receives it, if they see that, well, this is a legal split and he chose a different option or didn't choose the correct legal split community property percentage, then that's when we would reach out to the member. So there is a process in place to prevent a member to just try to retire without going through the proper legal split calculations from the community property.
Okay.
So it is in there.
Is there a disclaimer that comes up that says this benefit amount or allowance is may not be accurate?
So in the application itself, there's no estimate, right? We didn't want to, because of that reason, didn't want to tell people, though, you're going to get this much at retirement through the application process. This is just an application to retire. The estimate is a separate.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, the separate estimate.
Yeah, on this estimate page, yeah.
Correct.
I think there are disclaimers on there about dissolutions. We'll go back and double check that. The system, so dissolutions are generally handled through option 4, in case anybody doesn't know that. That's usually where you can designate, how to split up something, and most courts will direct us to do that option 4 process. And so the system does handle some of them, not all of them. So there are some that have to be manually calculated. We do have a project in place with working with systems and our actuary will be trying to ingest that so that we can do them on the fly through MyLACERA and through Workspace, when you're talking to us over the phone. But that process does exist. I believe there are disclaimers there for some of it, yeah.
Okay, and then two other things. So I did notice that on the pages that you had identified that there's no phone number that an individual can contact on some, like the disability page, for example, disability application. There's just the application, but there's no phone number if the individual wants to stop and call. If you go to slide 2.
Yeah, can we go back? Because I believe on the application, the phone number's on the application, if I remember.
The phone number's on the application, and on the second page where they verify their information, our phone number is on there to give us a call.
Yeah,
But
we'll make sure that it's prominent everywhere.
People
And
don't
it's a good
use
point.
it that way,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, it's not a problem.
So if you go to slide 2, for example, I don't see a phone number, for example. So if
So
you
it's
just,
here, where review personal information, that's where they will see the phone number.
But point well taken, we will make sure it is more prominently displayed.
And then the one other question that I had is when we're identifying the retiree healthcare, I don't see anywhere where it talks about what the net dollar amount is that the member has to pay. Right, because there's individuals that are 100%, maybe they have like this, the example you use is a tier 2 employee. And so they have a beneficiary, a spouse, but it doesn't identify how much they have to pay for the spouse to have medical coverage. Right?
So can we go to the slide?
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about?
I'm having a meeting here.
No, that's fine. That's what these meetings are for. So can we go to the retiree healthcare
Details page.
Details page, please?
Right here.
Yes.
And I only bring this up because I'll forget between now and when I go to my office, so I might as well just bring it up now.
Well, the nice thing about this page is it provides how much the county is charging us, the total,
Correct.
how much they're being subsidized. And the third line says members' portion, how much they have to pay.
Oh, it was 0.
Yeah,
Okay.
in this case, it's 0 because this particular member met the subsidy. But in essence, it does provide them how much it's costing LACERA to pay for their retirement, but it does list their portion as well. So if the member didn't meet the REC subsidy, then they would have an amount here.
Maybe this is just an example that's not fully vetted because this does have an individual that is an eligible dependent in tier 2, so there would be a payment that would be required.
Yes, we have these cases are kind of mocked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we are working under our member experience priority in the strategic plan 1.4, which is our retiree healthcare. One of the things that we're looking at there is an online enrollment process, which would allow people to see what they would be paying, before they
Right.
retired,
Okay.
there. They can do that now when they call us and talk to us, but it would be online as well for them
Yeah.
to do.
I just think that this is, it's great, a tremendous improvement. So thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the information.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So we'll move on to item 6, items for staff review.
Okay, Trustee Knox requested staff to present options for handling excess wait times and member services.
Great. Thank you. Items for future agendas,
I have nothing.
and if there's an urgent need for good of the order, I have nothing. Motion to adjourn. Great. Thank you, everybody.